Hi, welcome to a glimpse into the moment. Oh, I have missed you guys. I'm super excited to be back and bringing some consistency to my routine of life, of living life with consistency. That is the next step. I have been so focused, hyper focused, truly, on healing for. I started therapy in December of 2019. So I have been in therapy weekly since then. I have not missed a week. The longest break we've had has been 10 days, but we actually saw each other again on the same week. So, it's been a pretty dedicated, driven, life altering passion. Passion and investment at healing. How many times in your life do you invest in, let's get real here, some of my weeks of therapy, only probably the first 2 months did I go an hour, and then it started just like edging into an hour and 10 minutes, an hour and 20 minutes, an hour and 40 minutes. Oh my gosh, wait, we're at 2 hours? How did that happen? Oh wait, what? That was a 3 hour session? Holy hell. Oh, you want to see me during my kids' session too? Okay. Oh, they were at 4 hours now. Oh, I have 4 kids. Oh, holy hell. And a family session. Oh, here, we're at 10 hours of therapy this week. The record marathon therapy session that my therapist and I had was 4 hours. 4 hours long. And it was quite by accident. We were actually done, and then she asked a redirect question. Someday, when you are in the space, I'd love to hear more about... And that started it. We explored some pretty taboo topics in that conversation, and it was amazing. It was amazing not because of the subject content, but because I felt safe enough, comfortable enough in myself to be able to show up and have a taboo conversation with somebody because they asked a question that took us there, and I showed up willing and ready to be my true self. There was a moment in that conversation where I thought about, as my career forces were kind of, those mental getting to know yourself forces are starting to churn and tick and try to figure out who you're going to be. There was a moment in that 4 hour therapy space of my life. So that would have been, gosh, let's just say 8 months ago, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, probably 8, where I considered becoming a sex therapist because I thought that'd be so fun. Really, just to be able to create a safe space for people to talk about what they wanted to bring to the table to talk about. And that was also about the same time that I came directly honest with myself about childhood sexual abuse, about the sexuality within my marriage, and who I had shown up to become. I had began to honor myself as a sensual person, a sexual being. And that's the first time in my entire life. So there was a brief, very brief moment where I gave pause to that. But then I decided that really wasn't the right direction for me. And lots of things played into that. One day we'll have a conversation around that. But today we're focused on the journey of healing. I know, the taboo subjects are fun. Okay, really fun. But we're going to park them for another day. After that 4 hour session, we both were exhausted. It was super late at night, and we both needed food. And we decided that should we ever hit that kind of a session again, that we were just going to order pizza. The one thing that I do believe above all else in my journey is my therapist's truth and just pure honesty in saying that she's really never met anybody who wants to heal as badly as Nita. I show up, I do the work, I take the It's not criticism. I take the truth that she gives me. I take the growing and I apply it. Every time I apply it, and I move forward. And it's not always easy. When I first started therapy, February 14th of 2019, and I know we've already talked about this, but I'm going to revisit it for a moment. I had a panic attack. And by Memorial Weekend, maybe it wasn't Memorial Weekend, there's a weekend before that. Anyway, by the next 3-day weekend, I was in full-on undiagnosed PTSD. And it took us, maybe I got diagnosed right before that 3-day weekend. It doesn't matter, except for my trauma brain gets a little attached to my lineage of evidence. There's nothing like a good abuse victim to have a whole fuck ton of evidence to prove that we crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's. And if you have been in an abusive relationship, you will know what I mean about making sure you have your chain of evidence. Anyhow, that PTSD hit me, and it hit hard. God, fucking hell, man. It just knocked me out. And for the next 6 months, 8 months, I really focused on tools and coping mechanisms, ways to ground myself to reality. And it helped. It helped a lot. We then moved into, deepening, some deepening exercises to reduce the effects of the PTSD, for me to recognize when it was coming on, how to move around it, past it. I don't always need to be in the PTSD. Recognizing those kind of larger scale things that I needed to learn, because I don't want to be debilitated by what was happening to me. I didn't want it to become a disorder. I don't want to have panic disorder. I don't want to have depersonalization disorder or beyond. And I can happily say that here we are, May 1st, my brother's birthday. Happy birthday, Keith. Here we are on my brother's birthday, 2021, and my PTSD attacks are minimal. Honestly, happily, joyfully minimal. Very, very minimal in my life. I have some after effects, and I have some PTSD, but it is not those full-on attacks that would happen. And I am blessed, and I am also recognizing the amount of lifetime, like, honest to gosh, the amount of therapy that I have put in to get to the point that I'm at right now. I recognize that. And it hasn't been easy, it has been intentional, and it has been hard. Let's pause for a break. We'll come right back and we'll talk a little bit more about that. Hey, welcome back. Massive shout out real quick before we get going back again on panic attacks. I was going to say panic disorder, but panic attacks. Keeping yourself away from panic disorder. Massive shout out to Team Sharudo on Instagram, a massive supporter of A Glimpse into the Moment, massive sponsor, just a great partnership happening there. Go check them out. Team Sharudo on Instagram, daily mental health, physical mental health coaching centered around the soccer industry. Absolutely love what John is doing over there, so go check him out. Dialing into this healing process and what you're able to do if you're willing to do the work, I was pretty certain that I was on the way to... Let me back up. My therapist was pretty certain that if I didn't deepen my ability to recognize some of the things that were happening within me, that I was at risk for turning my panic attack or my PTSD into disorders. And when the depersonalization that I've done an episode, a podcast episode about, when that hit me, holy hell, that was pretty life altering. And when I talked to my therapist about it, and I kind of just buzzed right through what had happened, and I saw the alarm in her face, but I didn't pay any heed to it. And at the end of our session, and she dialed me all the way back to that depersonalization episode, and we unpacked it, and she educated me on it. And for me, at that point, it was a symptom of my PTSD. However, if I didn't do some work around that, it was going to become more than a symptom of my PTSD, and it was going to become, let's be honest, it posed the threat to be a life-altering stopping point. I feel tears stinging. I had one more, half a episode or depersonalization, like I didn't get fully lost in it. And I didn't the first time too. I still retained a tether to my real self, but the detachment that you get from self in those episodes is really quite terrifying when you think about it. I didn't really associate myself with the real world at that point. So that is clearly not where we want to exist, right? Jesus. Oh, so bad to realize. When we fight our truths, when we fight with every ounce of our being against our core emotions, when we devalue ourselves by abandoning our feelings, our emotional self, our truths, wow, the results on our physical self can be pretty devastating. And that, my sweet, 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 sweet podcast listeners, thank you for listening, is why we're here today. It is why I took a break. It's why I took a break from really producing everything. I had to get real with my healing. And I suppose that, to put it into the most blunt terms, I needed to push on my healing, to really push on it and dial in some areas that were pretty raw. My emotional self, where we talk about self-love and self-realization, and we talk about our self-worth and opening that door to people who want to love us. When we first open that door, we only attract, and this was just said to me today, so I'm gonna pop it in here, and I hope that this person, when they hear it, that they smile from their toes to the tops of their longest hairs, because they're pretty a really amazing person. And I'm sure that everybody has heard this saying in some form if they're doing any kind of work on healing at all, you have heard this saying, but it hit me when I heard it. We accept the love that we think we deserve. And that's what I've done my whole life. Even the most loving space, well, quite honestly, where I fell in love, it didn't really come from a healthy place for either of us. But that was still the best thing that I've ever had. So when we devalue ourselves, when we don't show up for ourselves, and we continue to perpetuate that hurt, how can we possibly produce the most high-level things that we want to achieve, that we dream of? Well, I couldn't. Denying my emotional hurt, my emotional pain, lumped onto my asthmatic condition, and in the end really became a detrimental hurt to everything that I was trying to push myself through and out of. So it took my healing to an all new, different level, to really getting honest with myself about what I wanted in my life and what I want in my life, what I'll have, what I'll do. Dialing into the divorce that still hasn't happened. Court system for COVID is a joke, and you really need to have two people who are willing to have conversations, right? Two people need to turn in paperwork. Two people need to do this, need to do that. And that's not happening yet. So I need to get real with that. I needed to get real with the fact that I only have so many hours in the day that I can work, and burning myself out was getting me nowhere, right? Because I was still trying to show up for everybody and please everybody in the creation of web pages, the creation of content, publishing content, and every single thing that I did. And it was killing me. Not literally. Well, actually, probably literally. I mean, it's not normal to have a depersonalization and wish that you could walk in the middle of the street to be safer because you're walking on some kind of like energy field. That just doesn't make sense. So let's get real. Let's even dial this in a little bit more real. I have not been healthy about my physical health for a long period of time because my mental health has not allowed me to. As I become more balanced and as I start to deepen the ability to see and honor myself, the better I feel. Even right now, I'm just seeing that in a different light. I guess I never have shown up for myself. And I've only just started. So can you imagine where I'll be in a year? Me either. Oh. That's kind of an interesting conversation. Let's take a break and let's come back and talk a little bit more about why I am in therapy for such a long period of time. There is some speculation around that, and that has come into my journey over this last year. And more recently, it's come into the journey where my children and I are healing and that being challenged, right? How long should you be in therapy? So let's talk about that in just a moment. Join me on the other side of this break. And don't forget to go check out my good friends and my sponsor over there at Team Sharudo on Instagram. Thanks. Hey, thanks for coming back. Oh, I was just chuckling about something. I don't even know what it was. There was a text on my phone, and it was somebody loved something, and it just like touched my heart, right? To know that people take a moment and connect with you through their busy day, that they are willing to show up, and send those little hearts, those little emojis, when like on Instagram DM or people, I don't have an iPhone, but people with iPhones, they can love stuff. Or over there on Facebook Messenger, you can love stuff, and that's powerful. It just sends an affirmation to somebody that they are worthy of your time, that you're thinking of them, and that is really important. And that I show up for people. So this Nita, moving forward, this healed Nita from this healed space, she is only going to accept people in her journey that show up for her, that are invested and interested in her life and show up. Isn't that an interesting change to recognize that we are worthy, of more? more from ourselves, more from the people that we give access to us, that it really is a damn thank you. Thank you for not showing up for me when you didn't. Sounds weird, right? But maybe we just want to move those people out of our way. Why do we want to waste our time with people who don't want to show up for us? If somebody's never listened to one of my podcasts, if somebody has never liked one of my advocacy posts, well, it doesn't mean they don't need to be in my path, but it does mean that they don't need access to my intimate level of space, right? My personal space. Professional space, who knows? Who knows? But that space of me that I dedicate to my family, to my two friends, they don't need access to that because they don't need access to all of me. I have healed enough to understand the difference. I used to give open door access to everybody. But because I have dedicated such a powerful amount of myself to this process of healing, I no longer have to do that. I'm able to validate myself in many areas. There's still a little bit of work to do in a few, and I recognize that. Dialing our gear over to and around why I believe, why I know that this amount, this level, this depth of healing is the right course for me. There are a few who have challenged me on this, who have challenged me and come to me and said, I don't think that you should be in therapy still. Well, this is a long time. What is wrong with you? I don't understand it. And there is a space around my family and my family's healing where that has been challenged by the ex. And when the first challenge came up, I did a lot of research. I mean, I dug. I created one word there. I don't know if you caught it, but it's a Nita-ism. I totally created my own word. I really stopped all processes and I dug into that. And when I talked to my therapist about it after doing a lot of my own research, we both kind of came to the same conclusion and she was able to deepen it for me. But when you're working on one issue, like let's say I'm not able to hold a job. Let's just say that was the issue that I went to therapy with. If I'm going there and I'm like, gosh, I'm always jumping jobs and I don't understand why. Can we work on that? And we worked on that one structure of thing that I want to improve in my life with a life coach or with a therapist. But it's one thing. And it doesn't, when we dig into that, we find a reason and we're able to use that reason to build forward better processes, better beliefs in myself. Well, that work could take anywhere from 6 weeks to 6 months, right? Probably for that one reason, if there was no systemic abuse behind any of it that made me continually jump jobs, that's probably plenty of time to move you through and beyond that one problem. But when you have a lifetime, I was going to say lifeline because they either would work, but lifetime actually sounds so much better. When you have a lifetime of living in the shadows of narcissistic personalities, of people pleasing, of never, ever choosing you, of always showing up for other people, but never being shown up for, a lifetime of self-abandonment, a lifetime of, it's ugly to say, but no sense of self. Smiling constantly because you weren't allowed another emotion. You're no longer looking at one issue. You're looking at a full life rebuild. And that doesn't happen with a time limit. Well, it's pretty scary, right? A full life rebuild put in the hands of who? Finding, developing, and working hard on a relationship with a therapist that you trust, that you have the same ethical core visions, boundaries, stabilities. Somebody who has a history in your hurts. So for me, domestic abuse, narcissistic abuse, people pleasing, self abandonment. The first therapist could only get the healing that we needed to do as a family so far. And we had to move to a therapist. Well, I had to move to a therapist that dedicated time to me outside of family, outside of children. And I needed one that specialized in domestic abuse. Eventually, during the COVID time frame, I wasn't able to get in with the original therapist that the kids had, and I just didn't get a call back after multiple months. I mean, it was the first part of COVID. It was a weird time frame. And I moved my kids over to the therapist that I had, and what I immediately saw with her skill set on domestic abuse, narcissistic personalities, she has been able to flip the tide for us. There is no set time frame. The healing goes whatever way, the pathways and the conversations and the situations that we bring to the table take us. We are bold, we are committed, and I am no nonsense about this family ending a cycle of abuse here and now. These children will not take my problem, my issue, what I created, it doesn't matter if I created it or not, but I am owning it, right? Because I can feel some of you bristling at me saying I created. I didn't stop it. Doesn't matter if I saw it or not. I knew something wasn't right. I knew it. I abandoned myself time and again, and it led to this space. And I will not leave my children here. I will not. So when you are thinking, dear God, how can somebody still be in therapy? Start looking at what is happening in their life. Are they still in therapy and in the exact same place with the exact same fears, concerns, worries, problems? Mr. Monk comes to mind. I don't know if you've ever seen that TV show, but it's a wonderful TV show about a man in therapy with so many fears of the world that it stalled his life completely out. And so he was in therapy. This is a fictional TV show, MONK. It stalled his life out. He was in therapy with the same therapist, for the entire part or the entire life of the show. And before that, and then after, they do the shows where it kind of touches base in the early before years and then the later after years. So, that's a totally different reason to not be moving forward. But if you see somebody who is shifting, changing, growing, you may not like it, you may not agree with it, you may not be able to understand it, you may even get pushed out of their life. They may even set boundaries around you because you no longer are safe for them. Let's just put it factually. It's not a popularity contest when you start actually showing up for yourself and making choices that are healthy for you. It becomes about survival, safety, and honoring yourself. And when you are watching somebody heal and you wonder why they've been there for so long, take yourself out of the picture. Take your emotions, your thoughts, your opinions, You don't need those opinions anyway. It's not your life. Throw them out the window. And look at it this way. Are they progressing? Do you see positive changes, positive ripples? Do you see evidence of positivity happening around them? Do you see that they're trying? Then I would ask, if the answer is yes, that you park your expectations around their journey of healing, because it's not your journey of healing. And it gets to look and be whatever they need it to be. And God, that can hurt when it cuts us from it, can't it? Yeah, I know. I feel a little sick about it myself. It's really hard when you get kicked out of somebody's life and you just didn't even know that was going to happen. And you don't really understand it, but you do. You know? People have to do what's best for them, even when we don't understand it. So when you decide to begin the process of healing deep trauma hurts, no matter what those causes were, it doesn't really matter. If you were traumatized and you decide to start working on them, you get to set the tone for that. You get to set the style of therapy that works for you. You get to set the growth pace that works for you. My therapist has been in business over 30 years, and she's not had another me travel this far, this fast, be this dedicated about it. And I'll be honest, I still have some work to do. I'm closer. Super close, but I'm not quite there yet. For example, I do not fully understand soul. I get it, but I don't get it. I don't get. This is really a hurtful thing. I don't get why I hear all the time people around me saying that other people have this beautiful soul. Oh, their soul is so beautiful. And then there's this little bit of me that's like, why does anybody say I don't have a beautiful soul? I know it's really childish. I get that. I know. But there is still that little tiny part of me that's like, but why not me? Right? And that, my friends, is what I mean when I say I still have a little work to do. Letting go of jealousy, letting go of being left out, letting go of being, well, not being a part of someone's journey. Just like people have removed me from their journey, and I have removed people from my journey. And both ways, it's confusing. And accepting that sometimes you just have to let it go and turn it all over. With the help of a guidance therapist, I think, for me, is the best. Because she helps me to dial in and to interpret things. One of the things that is kind of hard is as you go through this healing process, is that your friends change, your friends shift. And if you don't have people around you who are willing to grow with you, you are either going to leave them behind, or, because you'll have to. You will have to leave them behind, because you're not going to be the same person that they knew. So if they're not willing to jump on some level of growth with you, you are going to choose you. My wish for you is that you choose you. You choose you. You don't abandon you ever again. Let's pause on that for just a moment. We'll be back. Stick around. Okay? Hey, thanks for hanging on. Oh, I have to pause and just laugh at myself. Being a mom can present challenges to your professional life. And working from home, trying to work from home, trying to create work, it has a lot of distractions built in. And I think I've probably redone this entry maybe 30 times. So we're going to pause together, you guys and me, and we're going to celebrate perseverance and resiliency because they are key to healing. And the ability to laugh at yourself, to move through frustration, is really a powerful asset. It's a powerful win. Oh, gosh. Showing up for you. You cannot go wrong on your healing journey if you're showing up for you. And your healing journey is going to look however you need it to look. So being authentic to you, being true to you, however you feel in that moment, well, that's the right thing to do. Sitting in uncomfortable spaces. Nothing grows in comfort. Right? I mean, even a flower needs rain, dirt, fertilizer, and sunshine, or it isn't going to bloom. So getting used to feeling uncomfortable will speed up your healing. Creating a space where you can record wins, massive. Massive. It's a massive win right now that I'm even finishing this podcast tonight instead of trying to come back to it another day. Because I'm not allowing real life to frustrate me. That's new. That is new. That everybody is being respectful and trying to support me is new. And those are wins. They are huge wins in this healing process. Each and every one of you has wins every day. Tiny wins add up to producing big wins. So do not travel your path without recognizing the small wins that you have. Because it will surprise you what you end up with in the end. Let's close out soon, okay? Point 1, consistency in healing. I am only right now beginning to get to a point where I can add consistency to my routine for life, my routine for education, my routine for work. So consistency in healing, I had no problem with because I was at the right space in my life to say never again. Never again will I be abused. Never again will I be, and fill in the blank. I mean, right now, take a moment and fill in the blank. Something's screaming at you. You can say it out loud if you're in a spot where you can say it out loud. But never again will I be abused by anyone. So healing for me was a priority when I started it. And I evidenced that it was a priority by the amount of hours, the time, the passion, the dedication that I brought to it. I have moved through major life stalling mental illnesses. Illness, how do you say that? Through this process. One of those being PTSD is a mental, I don't know, maybe a class 4. I don't remember the details on it, but I remember finding out it was classified as a mental illness. Set me up on a PTSD attack because I didn't know that. I did not know that. I didn't know that every time my therapist read from the little black book, big black book, I don't know, they call it a little black book, I think it's huge, she was reading specifics about mental illness, my mental illness. Yeah, it was a powerful moment. PTSD, panic attacks, depersonalization, all drops in the bucket of my journey. Nobody gets to define what your healing process looks like. Nobody gets to say if you emerge into the sunshine and you are doing great, you are powerful, you are killing it every single day. And then something happens and you slide back 10 steps and you have to start from a new level and climb again. Nobody gets to take away the work that you have done. Nobody gets to shame you, judge you. Nobody gets to take away your progress, to take away your right to become you. And you need to write that down somewhere. I have every right to be me. I have every right to be Nita. I have every right to my truths. I have every right to expect respectful behaviors towards me and around me. I will set boundaries accordingly. You will get a place, a spot, a nod in my life where you decide you belong. Because your actions, you're showing up, you're not showing up, your ability to have difficult conversations, your ability to say thank you, God, your ability to not say thank you, it matters. It matters. Those things matter. How you treat other people determines on where you end up in their life. So you need to keep that in mind. I need to keep that in mind. If somebody is valuable to me, they are, by God, going to know it. And if I try to make you valuable, and you tell me through your actions or your lack of actions that you really don't care, that's not very special to you. Trust me, New Nita will listen. And I hope that for every single one of you listening today, I hope that you listen to you, that you listen to spaces where you are valuable, and that you realize just how amazing you are. So that is a lot on healing, on protecting yourself and your right to heal, and that it's going to look different for you than somebody else. Other people are going to bring their scope, their myopic view sometimes, that view that only creates through their lens what your healing should look like, right? Because they're not realizing that you're your own human. People who bring that view might not be your people, right? Well, it's kind of hard to hear sometimes because some of those people we love. But if they're your people, they're going to take you as you are and with what you need. They'll offer you support, guidance, maybe some education along the way, but they're going to show up and they're going to be able to listen. And they're going to be able to hear you. And they're going to know when you have room for growth, and they're going to know when really you just need a hug and a shoulder. You need to literally, you're so exhausted with the world beating you up, or so exhausted with the life lessons, or you're so exhausted with the hard work that you're doing, that you just need to show up, sit next to them, and lean your head on their shoulder and cry. If they're your people, they'll know that. Because we can't always be challenged to grow. Sometimes we're doing so much growing ourselves that we need to create a space or have a space or be received in a space where we can just breathe and unpack all the hurts of the day without anything else. So, I really appreciate you guys listening. I am looking forward to consistency in these podcasts, guests in these podcasts, and hopefully even you in these podcasts. I have a dog and a cat behind me deciding to argue, so this is a good time to wrap it up. Head on over to Instagram, A Glimpse into the Moment. Give me a follow over there. DM me. Let's have a conversation. I would love to hear about your journey and how you're doing. And I'd love some feedback and how the podcast maybe impacted you. Go give my support on Team Cheruto, on my friend, and the community that is being built over there is absolutely outstanding and rock solid, grounding effort by my sponsor and my friend over there on Team Cheruto Instagram. And then give him an eye. That's my friend and business partner there who is sponsoring. But give us a follow over on WhatsApp, WATZUP. We are doing great things over there, normalizing mental health conversations. And it is important work. It is wonderful work. And it's so fun. What's up? So give us a follow over there. And don't hesitate to reach out. Let us know what's happening with you. Let us know if it resonates. Let us know. Let me know if what I'm doing here resonates for you on your journey. I love the positive feedback. I have had some critical feedback on how I can improve my, not delivery, not my vocal delivery, not my content, but my consistency. And that has been heard and filed away until now, when I can unpack it and I can actually deliver on that consistency piece. So I really appreciate that to my friend Timothy, who gave me some feedback early on in my podcast. That was appreciated. It was needed. And Timothy knows that I heard that. I just couldn't do anything about it yet. So, when you give somebody that kind of feedback, give it with grace. Give it with grace. Allow time for people who are on a healing journey or on any journey to evidence that they have hurt you. Okay? So go follow my best friend John over there on Team Cheruto. Give John and I a follow on WhatsApp. Give me, check me out on A Glimpse into the Moment. Domestic abuse advocacy. What we're doing here is good, solid work. And hit the subscribe button to this podcast. Now that I am jumping in both feet to consistency, you want to be notified of all of those podcasts as they launch out. And I would really appreciate that. Have an amazing day. It's a Saturday afternoon here, and I think this is going to drop on Monday, sometime early in the morning in the United States. And I am really excited about bringing this next chapter of consistency to our conversations. If you have ideas for a podcast, shoot them on over to me. Have an amazing day. Thank you guys so much. And every moment matters. So make the most of every one of those moments. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you next time.